What?
And we are live.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead,
Well,
Ernest.
muchachos, it has been a while.
Yeah, more than a year.
yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot
I
of a
mean,
lot has happened.
although I think, although me and Eduardo had a talk before because he was on in the trenches and
Yes.
had a really good conversation about Canada and Mexico. But Owl, it's always good to talk to you again, too, man. How you doing?
Of course, guys. It's been well, I've been fine. I'd say. And during the winter here, also the crazy political situation of my country, which we can say for another episode.
Oh yeah, there's a
Um,
whole
I,
episode in itself.
yeah. I'll also, as a side note, I'll be starting to learn German next week.
How very Chilean.
Yeah,
Yes.
appropriately. A lot of people down south have it to speak it. I don't know why. They have like weird tattoos, but we're not gonna
Yeah,
get into the detail. But
laughs and Jose Antonio Cast.
yeah,
Um, but
likely my next president.
oh gosh, no, please, no. Listen,
Yeah, if it's gonna be a, it's gonna be.
listen. I'll tell you something crazy though, like really, really quick. At
Mhm.
least at least Cast is more popular than Dina Boullarte, a guy whose father was
Mhm.
literally a card-carrying Nazi, is literally more popular than a Peruvian president. Because Dina Boluarte has a 0% approval rating. I'm going to talk about that and a whole situation in Peru after as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So, Eduardo, how you doing, by the way, my friend?
Everything okay? I've been busy with some things, but now I'm, well, glad to be back here with you guys.
Same,
Yeah,
same.
yeah, it is. It's well, I believe that the meme that nothing ever happens has come to an end because a lot has actually happened. I
Way too
wanted,
much.
yeah,
Yep.
way too much. So I believe that we will start this episode with what's going on with Ukraine, which is actually actually something that I've kind of been out of the loop as of yet. I except for a very particular episode, which yeah, a very diplomatic instance where Donald Trump basically told Zelensky, "Yeah, by the way, it's wrong that you're fighting a war with Russia. You should seek for peace."
Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So I think I let Eduardo handle this because you have been more invested in this conflict than any of us yet.
Yes, thank you, Pablo. Well,
Mhm.
this this certainly has been the. I mean, I think this will be the conflict that will define this era
Mhm.
because of how I think it could be even a litmus test of where the where of of our commitment to freedom and to freedom and democracy.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
here we, I mean, in few other cases, I think have been a more clear cut uh, say conflict in which one side is in the wrong and the other is in the right. To be honest,
Mhm. Uh,
and also, I mean, it's been the last time we talked about this was more than a year ago,
Oh yeah.
mhm. Yeah.
and this time what we are seeing is, I mean, Russia is not advancing that much in these days. Yes, yeah, I know it's advancing, yes, but at a very very slow pace.
And
It's like
they've
a
lost
trench
a
warfare.
lot of people too. They've lost over 1 million men.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, according to the Ukrainian armed forces, they have lost. They have accumulated 1 million casualties. Well, these casualties, they include not only killed in action, they also include wounded personnel, wounded in action,
Yeah.
lost missing in action, and prisoners of war.
Oh
It's
yeah.
It-
Like.
still,
Yeah,
a million casualties is way too much.
Yeah, it's and
too
yet they
many
still try
soldiers,
to like.
and I also noticed that.
Yes.
No, go ahead, Ernest.
No, I was gonna say like it's insane because like the Russians seem to still have this World War II mentality, you know, the one with the rifle fires, and when he falls, the next one comes and picks up the rifle. You know, it's like the enemy at the gates kind of speech. But like guys, there's one thing I really want to comment on about this whole conflict, and I tell you the truth, like as someone who, um, I remember when the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan started. I remember staying up all night and watching it on CNN. Like I remember watching Shock and Awe, and like it was like Wolf Blitzer from CNN was like narrating the whole thing. And like warfare has changed so
Yes.
much in
A lot.
the last 25 years. Because like I remember growing up, you never would have thought about drones and like all of these things, but now suddenly, you know, you have to worry about a $100 drone from Amazon dropping like a bundle of hand grenades on your head. Like
I've
no
watched
one
videos of it. I
Yes.
like
watched
when
vid.
I
Mhm.
like I'm sorry, I just gotta just finish this point. Like I
I'm sorry,
remember like
sorry.
when no, yeah, yeah, no, 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 it's fine. It's just that like I remember when like the biggest threat from a drone was like one of those big Reapers, you know, like the US had,
Mm.
or the Bayraktar. Now it's like this like Temu wish drone thing that slacked together with like two by four, slapped together with like plastic and like old Titanic model parts, and it just
Yeah,
drops hand grenades and stuff
yeah.
on people. It's
It
insane.
it's like war on a budget because I've seen videos of you got Russian soldiers taking out drones with shotguns designed to hunt duck. Like you have that, and you also have the fact that I also saw that I think I don't know if it's just the Ukrainians and or the Russians, but they're putting like this thing that messes with the sign on the drone signal of the drones
Oh yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
donkeys, on little donkeys. It's a very different kind of war because I still remember that during the time of like you said of the Gulf War, like be Desert Storm or Iraqi Freedom. I still remember that the whole thing with war was very mobile forces with with aircraft and tanks. But that kind
Hmm.
of war is not what we're seeing in Ukraine. What we're
No,
seeing
it's
is
gone.
trench war. Yeah, it's trench warfare, war of attrition, basically, and the use of drones. And I think that's really I think creepy. It's a very creepy way of fighting a war. And
Well, I'll tell you something funny actually, because I
mhm.
have a friend of mine. He's a former British Army captain, and I was having a chat with him about a couple of weeks ago over the phone. We were having a good discussion about warfare and that and the way things have changed because he was in Afghanistan, and
Oh, interesting.
I asked him if if he would still fight today if he knew if it was like the drones and everything, and he said I absolutely not. He said because I would be the most paranoid soldier you have ever met because it was bad enough, he said, in Afghanistan when you had them firing mortars or RPGs or sniper bullets every now and then. He said, but now he's like the warfare has changed to the point where I don't know where the enemy's going to come from anymore. And the enemy doesn't have to come like on foot on the ground anymore. It comes in the form of a little drone. And these are not just something that like only the rich countries can afford. You can get it off freaking Amazon. You can get it off Temu. You can get like for heaven's sakes, boys, you can get a mini like tractor on Temu now. So I mean, like if you can get a tractor, you're gonna get some drones. And like he was like I spent a year training at Sandhurst and a couple years like learning and growing and adapting as a soldier. And he said, I'm gonna get taken out by is like something somebody bought on Wish. And he's like,
Yeah.
it's nonsense. He's like, he's like the warfare now has changed so much in the years that I was in the army. And then after I got invalidated out, he's like, and I've been watching it. He's like, I'm so glad I'm still not in because he's like, if I was a field soldier or a field officer, he's like, I would be on the ground like in paranoid. Like I wouldn't know where death was going to come this time. And it's not like it because there's such the balance has kind of been um there's kind of more of a balance now to it. There's less of a of an edge of an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Russia. Like, I still remember that
Uh,
when the war started, a lot of people thought that the war in Ukraine was going to be based around armor thrust attacks
Yep. No,
and
I knew it was gonna be a
concentrated
shit show.
infantry assaults.
It wasn't gonna be
Yeah, and
that
we're
good,
not
but
seeing
no,
that. Like, there's no.
Eduardo, you were gonna say something?
yes,
Mhm.
about the drones.
Yeah.
And I think we recently saw what happened. I mean, in this Operation Spiderweb.
Oh yeah, the
Oh, that
a
was
lot of planes actually.
beautiful. Well,
That was
here's the thing.
incredible.
I
And
mean,
they can't rebuild. They can't buy those. They can't make those anymore. A lot of those, like the Bears
the Tupolevs
and
are. No.
Yeah,
yeah, the
there are those
Blackjacks.
like Soviet airplanes.
I mean,
Hmm.
and a lot of the airplane industry of the Soviet Union was based in Ukraine.
Everything was
The,
based in Ukraine, dude. Shipbuilding and
A
everything.
lot. Yeah,
the
exactly.
I mean, the Antonovs were used to be built in Ukraine. And not only that, I mean, do you guys remember where the Kuznetsov and the other
Ukraine.
yeah
Ukraine.
and the other carrier were built? Yeah, Ukraine.
Yep.
I mean,
But guys, I can
uh,
only say one thing: Russia needs to abandon all these fancy, silly like designs and buy some Super Tucanos from Brazil. Some of those
yes,
like some of those propeller planes. You see Sergey and the boys just riding around on this Brazilian-made piece of junk.
Dog fights with Tucanos and drones.
I mean, but also the how to say, in the Operation Spiderweb, we also saw something that the newest, I think, the newest development in drone warfare. Um, most of those drones weren't, controlled via remotely
Hmm.
because to avoid being, jammed. They were this operation was prepared through during 18 months. Most of that time was used to train the drones in in the use of AI. And the drones used in artificial intelligence to get their targets. They knew what they had to what they had to hit, and not only that, they knew where to hit them.
It was like ChatGPT. What's the weakest point of a Tupolev plane?
Yes,
Oh my! The future of warfare is here, boys, and it's not pretty.
and also, I mean, with with all that has happened with the Trump administration, that they want to cut all the aid to Ukraine next year, and they also wanted to sorry, to have the um, to force them to make a deal with Russia, even if it's not advantageous to them. I mean,
Mm.
uh, is Ukraine is doing what they can to keep the U.S. and Trump on their side. Russia is actually, hmm, I mean, yes, they have been advancing, but let me tell you, well, I according to my calculations, the calculations I've been seeing,
Hmm.
uh, if you take the rate of advance that Russia has been using, has been having in these past 2 years, well, year and a half, 2024 and 2025,
Hmm.
they might take, like, it might take them between 5 and 15 years to get the rest of the territory they are reclaiming from Ukraine. These are the remaining parts of the Kherson Oblast, Zaporizhia Oblast, uh, Luhansk, and Donetsk.
One question I have, Eduardo.
And well, that's for the rest of the
Mhm.
sorry,
It's okay.
the rest of the oblasts they are reclaiming. For the
Mm.
rest of Ukraine, it will take them 150 years.
We are
Oh,
playing the
they
long
think,
game
and for
now.
some reason, they for some reason they actually do think that they will win the long game, and they really won't.
Yeah, I think that the major problem here is at this point in the war, I think that we can't speak of a clear winner. I mean, it's not that I don't think Ukraine will lose, but I don't think Russia will lose either. I think it's eventually who is the one who's going to run out of men first.
Well, the U.S. The commander of the U.S. forces in Europe, Christopher Cavoli, General
Hmm.
Christopher Cavoli, says that Russia can sustain this rate of fighting for another 2 years. The thing is, I mean, we are what we're seeing is that Russia is their capacities in almost every regard are being degraded.
Mm.
And it's no secret that that Ukraine is just the beginning for Russia. Their next target are the Baltic countries.
Estonia,
Yep.
Latvia.
Yeah, I mean, in the pro, I mean, they and we've seen. I mean, Europe is beginning to down on them that this is going to happen at some point,
Yep.
Mm.
which I think is about time. A little late, but well, it's better than nothing, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, that's the truth.
Exactly. The question I wanted to ask you to you, Eduardo, which I think it's um what's been going on recently with this supposed peace talks that are going to happen. Uh, it's what do you think it's Trump's idea of the whole Ukraine conflict? What do you think it's the goal that Trump has as, let's say, quote unquote, mediator of the conflict? Or well, not necessarily mediator because I don't think he's that friendly with Zelensky for what we've seen.
I mean, the Trump's goal for Ukraine, for what I've seen, is to finish this war in the state I mean, I don't. He wants to finish the war. He doesn't
Mhm.
care how it finishes because he wants to reintegrate Russia to the global economy. He's. I mean, many people is talking about. I mean, this is going to sound. I know how this is going to sound, but
Okay.
please, guys, don't laugh too much. Trump is expecting to. I think he's trying to do what some people call a reverse Kissinger.
Oh God.
Oh,
It's nothing of that sort, please.
no, no,
He's
guys, it's not a double entendre, okay?
yeah, yeah. He wants to separate Russia and China and use Russia against China, like Henry Kissinger did in the Cold War with China and the Soviet Union. But
Mm.
I don't think it's going to happen. Russia depends way too much of on China, uh, even more than China used to depend on the Soviet Union back in the Cold War.
Economically,
Yes,
China has been bailing out the Russian economy from the war, basically.
yes,
But you
Uh,
see, the thing is like you can see how desperate the Russians have been because they gave like Kim Jong Un that really bad ship that like literally toppled over, or they gave
oh
him the
yeah.
tech for it.
yeah.
I love that the blue instead of the blue screen of doom, they had the blue tarp of failure. And
Yes.
like if I could see, like I saw the video of it, and like I just felt I was like, oh well, somebody's getting shot tonight.
Yeah, or at worst he's getting shot, or at best he's in like a working camp somewhere. So what I wanted to say, guys, is that I always had this impression that the problem with any kind of peace talks is that you have two sides that have not only irreconcilable differences, but the problem is that what both of them want is it has problems because what do the Ukrainians want? What does Zelensky wants? Zelensky wants the Donbass region back and Crimea. Assurances that the Russians will never invade, likely a demilitarized border, and also join NATO. That's what the Ukrainians want, at least in general. What does Russia want? Russia wants the Donbass region, the rest of the oblasts that they claim as part of their own country, keep Crimea, demilitarization of Ukraine, and that they do not become a member of NATO and the European Union. So the problem right there is that none of these. So there's no. I don't see a solution that can be essentially like, okay, let's reach a compromise, because the problem is that both sides will never accept a compromise.
Yes, in part yes, but there's
Hmm.
also another thing. I mean, these are the stated goals of Russia, but we know what he wants and what he's doing in other countries, in like in Georgia or in Belarus. Uh,
Hmm.
he wants to make Ukraine a puppet of a puppet regime like Lukashenko or the Georgian Dream Party in Tiflis.
And like those republics of Abkhazia and South Ossetia.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I don't think it's. I mean, the Ukrainians are. I don't think I don't think no one expected the Ukrainians lasted so much defending themselves against Russia. I mean, I don't think that after this war, at least in the next 50 years, there will be some sort of opening from Ukraine to Russia to return to what has been, um, the usual stuff. I mean, Putin speaks a lot of the Russian-speaking Ukrainians, but I mean, the Russian-speaking Ukrainians are fighting for Ukraine.
Yeah.
They are the reason why Ukraine has been able to infiltrate into Russia and make any sort of special operations inside Russia, from killing military officers to, I mean, Operation Spiderweb
Yep.
and some other
Mhm.
stuff. And they I mean, Ukraine is going. I think we haven't we are going to see a bigger pivot of Ukraine to the west. Like what just to remind you what Kazakhstan is doing. I mean, they are abandoning the Cyrillic alphabet. They are
Yep.
starting to use the Latin
Yeah.
alphabet. In Ukraine, the Orthodox churches are, well, at least, well, the ones that the affiliated to the Russian church were the ones that were closed, but the other Orthodox churches are not particularly full. I mean, right now, Ukraine is seeing in a growth in Protestant churches and the Greek Catholic Church of Ukraine.
Yep.
Mm.
I mean, they even had a cardinal at the last conclave.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, he was like the um, youngest cardinal in of the whole conclave, if I recall correctly. But
I,
I mean, uh, I don't. Maybe Kiev is not. Maybe Ukraine is not going to join NATO anytime soon. But I'm sure that they will at least enter the European Union
Oh,
I
they
see
have
it
to.
as, yeah,
at the very least.
I see it as a huge possibility, and the thing is that I've always had this impression that the problem with Putin's idea that the Soviet Union could be brought back, or at least politically he can recreate some kind of state project that gets these countries back into his orbit. The problem is that already would not happen, and it didn't happen before. Like the Confederacy of Independent States already doesn't work. You had the conflict in Armenia and Azerbaijan, where the Russians were supposed to be mediators of the conflict, and they didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Um, I think that the thing is, Russia has only one friend in Europe, which is Belarus, and the thing
uh,
is that I don't
and
see
Orban.
and Orban.
See,
I don't see Russia anytime soon. Number one, it will take a long time. Let's say that the war ends tomorrow, and it's independent of the outcome. Russia reinserting itself in the global stage is not going to happen in 1 or 2 years. It's going to take time, a long time for Russia. And the thing is that considering the things I've heard about Putin, the fact that I think some people have said that he's on his last, like he's already old, he's already looking for a successor.
I don't think he's looking for a successor.
No, he's not that kind of guy. He's paranoid.
Yeah, and look at the people around him, like Sergei Narishkin or Alexander Bornikov. I mean, they were his pals back in the KGB days, and he knows what kind of people they are. I mean,
Is
Putin has survived because he has been pitting one against another of all the people he's close to.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be. I believe that the good thing about if Putin dies is that we're gonna have a sequel to the death of Stalin.
Oh my God, please!
That's gonna be so.
that'd be
That's gonna be
hilarious.
so good. Yeah, but
I want to
but
say I want to say hello to my friends at the Kino Club, movie club I joined a couple of months back. Be prepared with the death of Stalin.
yeah, I would say we need to actually talk about that movie one day because it's a really fun movie.
Yeah.
But I believe that we've covered pretty much what the conflict in Ukraine has been as of yet, which leads us to the next subject,
Yes.
which is the recent Mexican insurgency in LA.
Oh my God.
So let us put it please in time. So why there is rioting in LA? Well, the cops were beating a black taxi driver named Rodney King. Oh wait, sorry, forgot. Wrong riots. Okay. Well,
No,
here's the thing.
one day an ICE agent stepped on a burrito.
Look,
And
the
the
reality. Yeah.
And because of that, and then somebody spilled a Corona.
El
Or
grito de las
no.
nueve,
Actually,
no.
no. What happened? No, what happened? No, what happened was actually, I'm really sorry. They didn't put a lime in the Corona, and so because of that, every Juan and
Monsters.
Jorge gathered together in righteous Mexican anger and said, "Nunca más."
No.
Every single Hernandez.
Oh yes.
Well, but I think that one of the consistent things of history is that there will always be an LA riots, and it seems that this is not been disappointing. So,
I think it's the second capital of the second riot capital just after Paris.
By the way,
exactly.
everyone, I have to say I can make that joke because Eduardo is a proud citizen of Mexico, and
Mhm.
as Father Ted would say, I'm innocent.
We all have here. We all have the Mexican pass. You can joke about Mexico.
Exactly, and I will
And
say,
Peru for once, except Pablo because he can't. You lost that privilege. You get that privilege back when we get the Oscar.
Okay, then Pablo, please continue. Pablo.
I think.
Yes.
I think the
kind
helicopter's
of
got him.
a culture. I cut it. I cut it away.
Yes.
Okay. I'll repeat it. But basically, I was prefacing by saying that first, before I speak about this subject, I want to say that I have a deep love and respect for Mexico, for its people, for its culture. I felt that, in general, Mexico has always been kind of a cultural leader in Latin America, and to me, it's very particular. This kind the situation that we're witnessing today, because I understand in part what's going on. I understand it. But there's a criticism that has to be made about the fact that you have people who left a country to be in another one, but seem to be acting as if where they are living is still the country they left. So for our viewers, what happened was basically ICE was conducting raids on Los Angeles, and this provoked a massive response by the overwhelming majority of Hispanics that are living um, in LA. Uh, and one of the things that people immediately noticed when this happened, wait, give me a second before I can get the proper image, was the overwhelming amount of Mexican flags that were present. And I wanted to ask you guys, what is your take on, because the reaction by the American public was mostly that why is it that these people who claim to be, who live here, are waving the flag of a foreign country?
I mean, I understand the thing of being proud about your origins. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't mind it. But if they left Mexico to go there, I mean, it's like a uh, it's like you better attempt to be a better Mexican, a better American than or a good American. Instead of, I mean, this is the people you want to become. Your children will be born there.
mm-hmm.
You're moving your family. The future generations of your family will be born there, or at least that's your plan.
Mm-hmm.
Why you should at least try to integrate. Some
Exactly.
people some people actually do it. I mean, let's be honest. Uh, the people that need the work that go out there, I mean, and that have that could be susceptible to deportation. I don't think they were becoming an easy target in those riots.
Exactly.
I mean, mostly, I am willing to bet that most people in those riots were dual citizens.
Actually, I was going to comment
Or
on that. I agree. I agree on that, and I believe that it's important to make that distinction because there is a very huge difference. I say between the guy who either left his family and went to work to the states and made money so he can bring his family, and he feels proud of what he's accomplished, and the guys who are doing this, because there's a great difference. Because I will say it simply, like like Mexicans say it. Some of these guys likely don't have chamba, they don't have a job, or they rely on government help, which, let's face it, it's California.
And I mean, like the other thing too is like I think there's a difference between like Hispanics, Latinos, and vatos.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. That's
Yeah,
important.
like these people like rioting and burning and looting. They're like I don't consider them like your general like Latino. Like as an adopted Latino myself, like these guys
Mhm.
are vatos. They're like the the crappy people who don't respect anything. Like how can
Exactly.
even if and like I don't understand who why these Americans are angry that the that the U.S. government is literally doing what Trump is doing literally what he promised. He said,
Exactly.
"Listen, I am going to deport illegal immigrants." And I
Hmm.
mean, like, I have friends, and I mean, we probably know the same girl here, guys. She lives down in like southern United States,
Hmm.
and she's even worried. And I was like, I don't know why you are, because like you have a citizenship card. Like
Yeah.
they're not just like grabbing like anyone who has like an accent off the side of the road and shipping them off to like El Salvador. Like they're
The-
if
yeah.
you're there illegally, you got to worry. And that's perfectly reasonable because you
Hmm.
broke the law.
yeah,
Exactly.
but
It's not like they're taking a guy and a random Latino out the street and say, "Hey, ¿te sabes la de los Tigres del Norte?" Yes. Okay, you're going to Salvador.
No, like now listen, like I think the ultimate test, guys, is they have to play like norteño music or like Grupo Frontera. And if they start getting like a rhythm to it, then that means that they're there illegally and they have to be deported.
Es un pato
yeah,
loco.
I mean,
100%. Get him.
Uh,
It's a vato, get him.
uh,
if they like Cypress Hill, they're going to Salvador. Okay.
No, no, no. They like Cypress Hill. They're American because listen, only Americans would like Cypress Hill. And as a former Cypress Hill fan, I'm allowed to say this.
It's
I was
okay.
young. I was so young.
It's
I just want to mention something about
mm-hmm.
some people, some things that has been say has been some talking points that has been in use in the U.S. and here in Mexico
Hmm.
about the previous ownership of the land. Uh,
Hmm.
Oh, give me a second. Let me play. Let me put the statement by I think the guy whose name sounds like a skin condition, Noroña.
I thought you were gonna play like the Mexican hat song for some reason.
No. So
That's the national anthem of California now.
so for our viewers, this person right here, who is Noroña, he's the
oh
president
yeah,
of the Mexican Senate. He's this. I will simply say it like this: he's a guy who clearly doesn't shower, who likes to lecture the common man on how they have to behave. He's a guy who completely rejected the idea that the drug cartels were executing people in the desert. Like you remember the whole it was in Veracruz, I think. The
Yep.
the rancho in Veracruz where the cartels were eliminating people.
yeah.
And he also, this is the funny thing, he went to Europe to a meeting where no one attended to speak about how the judicial elections in Mexico were one of the greatest showings of democracy in history. Yeah, no one went to vote for a judge, but that's something we'll say for an episode another day. So he decided
Yo
to.
estuve en la Torre Trump
Yeah, he said.
cuando decía que el presidente electo Donald Trump estaba 16 días de tomar protesta por primera vez como presidente, asumir el cargo. Y yo dije, si hacemos el muro, sí lo pagamos, pero lo hacemos con el mapa de México en 1830.
I'm gonna pause it right there because let me see if I can expand it. No, it seems like I cannot. So this is the map of Mexico back in 1830. I've seen it. Many of us who are aware of history know it. As a Mexican, Eduardo, tell us about what's the thing wrong with that map and the claim that is, I think, by blood and soil logic, Mexican land.
Well, this is the borders that were set by the Adam-Onis Treaty, signed by Spain and the United States. It was signed, I think, in 1821, almost at the end of the Independence War. I mean, their whole empire was falling apart, but the Spaniards were already set, they making delineating their borders. But in this case, I mean, Spain, well, Spain renounced to a lot of claims of a lot of territory way far to north. I mean, even some islands in the coast of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I think there's still a fort built by the Spaniards there. So in this case, Mexico went to fought a couple of wars in
This is the map right here. This is the map right here.
Yeah, first first we lose a war against the settlers we allowed into Texas. Settlers that were trying to settle there in Texas since the time of the colonial. I mean, I think it was Stephen Austin's father who actually tried to convince the Spanish authorities to allow them to settle in them in Texas. He continued the negotiations with Agustín de Iturbide, Agustín I de Mexico, the first emperor, and then with Guadalupe Victoria. And he started to bring settlers. The Mexican government wanted settlers there for a simple reason. I mean, this is a we are at the same time this was happening. There was also this event called what in the Americans called the Indian Wars. I mean, and the tribes up there were actually really quarrelsome. So they tried to put some buffer between the Mexican population and the Indians. Who was that buffer? Stephen Austin and their settlers, and his settlers. It backfired, yes, totally, because Texas at the end was when in some reorganization of the governmental authority, it was reorganized into territory that Pablo left. Oh, it was reorganized into territory that was administered by the Coahuila government. Coahuila is an state in the north of Mexico, and to this day, the Ignacio Zaragoza, the general that beat the French in the Battle of Puebla, he's called the general native from Coahuila. He wasn't born in Coahuila. He was born in what is today Goliad, Texas. His uncle was one of the people that actually got Texas independence. So this is something that is not talked about a lot. And now the other states that that the rest of the territory that the United States took from us. I mean the present states of California, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, pieces of Wyoming, Colorado, and well, Utah also was part of Mexico too. And these are the Panhandle of Oklahoma, and a piece of Kansas too. Those were part of Mexico. And the only settled parts, like
Sorry, guys.
in these parts of the Spanish Empire, were not only Texas. Well, some pieces of Texas, but just when the American settlers began to come to Texas, and the other part was a little in the coast of California, not much, but the heaviest, the most settled part in that zone of Mexico was Nuevo Mexico. Actually, Santa Fe, Nuevo Mexico was I think was the furthest frontier of the Spanish Empire to the north, basically.
One thing I wanted to comment about this claim about land is I think it's funny because for a time the Mexican Empire actually ruled Guatemala. So by that logic, if California is Mexican, then I think Guatemala should be ruled by Mexico again too. But what I want to say is that I still remember when I was in school, we were taught in my history class about the utiposidetis, when referring to the ownership and the control of land after the independence of several South American countries. Because, for example, in the past, Chile used to control Patagonia. Well, allegedly, because the thing was that the Reino de Chile, the Capitanía General Reino de Chile, claimed the territory of, well, Patagonia. But the thing was that we didn't actually establish any presence in the territory. So when we sold it to the Argentinians, it didn't felt like, oh my God, we lost a piece of our land. No, we sold a piece of land we didn't even inhabit it. So and to me, the thing is, when I see Americans making this claim that, oh, California is Mexican, so these Mexicans were here already. No, like, you're telling me that these Mexicans are native to California. Like that's the impression I get when they say this. And
well, the descendants of the Mexico, well,
I mean, yeah,
the Mexican settlers there are called Californios.
Yeah, but what I'm going for is that the guys who are rioting, like, these guys are not living here for more than 200 years.
Yes, exactly.
That's a big problem. And the other problem I have especially with what's going on, I'm gonna go back to share the presentation we have here. I think it's again the there's some weird mix of things that's been going on. So this is a very.
By the way, like, speaking of Patagonia, wasn't some weird French guy elected like the king of Patagonia for a while?
Oh, that's a very interesting subject right there.
Or Araucanía. It was Araucanía, wasn't it?
Yes. I forget the name exactly, but there was this weird French adventurer who arrived in Araucanía. he convinced the Mapuches to declare him a king. But then the Chilean government was like, "What is this guy doing here?" I don't think there
But
was even like a fight.
the Chileans were angry because finally the Mapuches actually submitted to a European that wasn't them. That was why the Mapuches.
Yeah,
That's why the Mapuches were
something like that.
mad.
It, yes, it's a very very particular subject. So if
But I
I
mean,
can what are you
but
gonna
we
say?
should probably continue it later because, like, I mean, we're starting to get a bit on time.
Yes.
There is one thing I want to say about
Yeah.
like this whole U.S. Trumpian thing. Um, First of
Hmm.
all, I'm actually quite fine with him deploying the U.S. Marines.
Yeah.
I believe that it is a necessary thing. I also believe he was justified to deploy the National Guard and take it away from Gavin Newsom. People might disagree with me. They might say that it's a bit heavy-handed, but I mean, like, all of this rioting and that is not good. There are literally people assaulting like ICE agents for doing like their duty, and
Yep.
there is nothing wrong with arresting people who have broken the law. Like, this is the law of the country.
Hmm.
Like, I have my PR in Peru. Like, I can't expect to go to Peru and be like, well, I guess I can do whatever I want now because I'm here and Peru owes me, or I feel like, I should be able to do whatever I
But
want and not have to pay the fees, not have to
mm,
go through any of the processes. And like,
by the
yeah,
by the way, Ernest, you mentioned Peru. I just wanted to I put this clip here because there's a Peruvian flag here. So it's a bunch
I
of
know,
Latina girls were shouting on this guy who was just there. I think
I
this
know,
represents. I just wanted to point out. I like the sign. It says. I think it's. You can get like mis padres sacrificaron para mi futuro. Ahora lucho por. Ahí está. My parents sacrificed for me. Sacrificed for me for my future. Now I'll fight for their rights. Um. Here's the thing, little girl. The problem is that you're acting as if you have no belonging to the country of the guy who's holding the other flag, this guy, because you're in his country now. I mean, I want to finish this segment
It's her.
by
I think
saying,
it's her country too. It's her
yeah,
country too, and she
the,
should accept it.
yeah. So to me, the statement I want to make is that these girls don't feel American. They don't feel that they are American, and they don't want to partake in what they consider American society. And the issue I have with this is that, look, I'm a believer that anyone who comes to, let's say, to Chile, and they want to take part in the society, eventually can become Chileans. And this is a way that's kind of been the way in Latin America since we become independent countries. Like the idea that you arrive here, you become part of our society, and then you become a member of the country. Happened in Brazil and Argentina with various European immigrants. Happened the same thing with Chile. My issue right now is that it seems that with immigration, it is kind of like expected that you arrive, you don't even try to integrate or assimilate. You simply just live the way you've lived from the country you left because the people already don't do that.
you,
And
I'm actually really glad you touched on that because I got to plug my own show a little bit every now and then. But
mhm,
there's an episode that I did with a guy who is originally from Bombay. He's
mhm.
been living in Argentina for about 33 years.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually started off working in Chile. So that's one thing one thing a person can be grateful to Chile for. Um, but like it was really interesting because I asked him, I was like, what do you recommend for anyone going to South America? Like who wants to like especially to Argentina to live? And he just goes, assimilate. He's like, you learn the language, you accept their customs, you accept how they are, and you don't ask them to change. He's like, I am a Hindu. He's like, I don't eat beef. And when I invite Argentinians to come over to my house, they know that I'm not going to be cooking any beef. And they will politely decline because they'll also say, like, well, Indian food is also way too spicy for me. And he's like,
Hmm.
do I get angry or bothered about that? Absolutely not, because he's like, I understand. And if I didn't want to live here, I would go somewhere else. And he's like, I love this country. I assimilated. He's like, I learned Spanish. I started a business. I raised a family, and he has, he raised two sons in Argentina. You know,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, no, and they're both great people. I know, well, I know the youngest son. He's a great kid, and the family is wonderful people, and
Hmm.
like salt of the earth, as we would say here.
Hmm.
And it's just really good to see someone say to you, like, there is this need to, like, assimilate, because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't think that they have this right, or they think that they're entitled to something.
Exactly. I believe that, and again, we have this could be a subject for its own episode that we can discuss about the topic of immigration and assimilation, because I believe that at this point that we are now, as in a sense, as not just South America but also North America, Europe, is the question of immigration and assimilation. I believe that has become like the most present issue for many people, and I believe that we will get in time to talk about that. But right now, we also have to discuss about the latest development, because actually something happened, guys,
Oh dear.
and it's yeah, because apparently, yeah, like history actually continues. Unlike Fukuyama said,
Nothing ever happens.
yeah, tell that to the Iranians. But actually, something happened, and I wanted to if you allow me, guys, I want to lead the way on this because I've been following this since yesterday.
Go ahead.
So the Middle East is living a period of crisis, I'd say, because we're having a very unstable period. This didn't start with the October 7th attack on Israel. I will say that this predates that. It's more like an aftershock of the Arab winter. So why I'm showing you this map shows what's Israel, particularly here, which is I think the point of discord right now, because right now Israel is essentially waging a war against other countries in multiple fronts. You have first Hamas in Gaza, the other Palestinian groups in the West Bank, which I will say this: I don't think that there is going to happen something immediately in the West Bank, but I think someone is brewing. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Syria, which I think it went kaput because right now the guy who is Al Shara in power, he doesn't like the Iranians, but I don't think he is that much of a fan of Israel either. The
No, no,
Houthis
no.
in Yemen and Iran, and in particular, Iran is one of the biggest power players in the region right now. So what happened recently? Israel launched, say, a large scale missile attack, also with aircraft, against various facilities in Iran, most of them missile facilities and nuclear facilities, eliminating also members of the nuclear program of Iran and several commanders of the Revolutionary Guard. And
Yes.
it's incredible because I mean I keep finding myself watching at the events that many of these generals were killed in their homes while sleeping. It's something. It kind of gets scary because this means the intelligence of Israel must have been really really good.
I mean, there was also the base of drones
Hmm.
that the Israelis installed in Iran, inside of Iran, some years prior, that was used in this attack.
Yeah, it had been planned for a long time. Now, these attacks come, I say, because there is reports and rumors mostly. I mean, there's something that is true. The nuclear deal between the U.S. and Iran didn't work. A lot of people say that, oh, it's the thing keeping us from war with Iran, keeping Iran from nuclear war. No, Barack Obama said that, oh, it's a great success we deal with Iran. No, because they kept enriching our uranium. I believe, and this is something that people have said recently, that I think it's like they had the uranium to build 9 nuclear warheads, and this clearly is making everyone around in the region worry, especially the Saudis.
I think it's not already enriched to the level to be used in nuclear weapons,
Hmm.
but it's getting there.
Yeah,
I mean,
It is.
it's been getting there
and
for a few years right now.
I think the strategy of Iran is to be in the threshold of prepare of of having the bomb. I mean,
So,
like a samurai that has his katana in the sheet.
so you say that. Okay, so I get it. So you say that they want to have the ability to make one, but they don't. They will not have like one at the ready.
Not in the moment. I mean, I think
Okay.
if they can, if they get to the point that they can make a bomb in a couple of weeks, they will be in a good position to have some leverage in further negotiations with the West.
Yeah, I recently
But
watched
like,
an interview. So sorry. Go ahead, Ernest.
no, I do have to say this though. I do think Israel is justified in this because when you have like Khomeini and Salami, which is I gotta say that is the best name of a guy you're gonna do a surgical strike on, because he literally got blown into salami pieces. Like he got the salami got sliced. That should have been the
Yeah.
Operation Salami Slicer.
Yeah, that
Um,
right there it is. The commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard.
but like, can you imagine how paranoid Iran's leadership must be now when they literally located all these houses, and then when despite them like knowing Israel would probably do something, because Israel said, "Guys, we're gonna do some stuff.
Hmm.
We're really gonna do some stuff.
uh,
We keep telling you we're gonna do some stuff," and
I
Iran
believe
is
they were
like,
sharing memes. They were sharing those memes of nothing happens. So they were like, "Relax, bro. Is nothing happens."
uh,
it was literally a FAFO.
Pablo, can you
Hmm.
zoom in this picture?
Let me let me see if I can. Yeah. Let me second. There it is. Uh,
Get this one. The no, the other way. The other way. Yes, Amir Ali Hajizadeh, the
mm,
brigadier general that was eliminated. He, as to see that, I mean, there's to show people that there's actually an axis of resistance that goes beyond the Middle East. I mean, this guy was the one in control of distributing the Shahed drones to Russia to hit targets in Ukraine.
mm.
I
Yeah.
mean, this this uh, this is a good thing even for Ukraine. I mean, these
It,
people, this is the people that are arming Russia, and because just to let our viewers know that there are no there's the Iranian army, which
mhm.
is one thing, but these are the Revolutionary Guards. This is a paramilitary force that is actually better equipped than
The
the
Quds Force.
army. The Quds Force is the elite force of the Revolutionary Guard.
Yeah,
Mm. If I can take the lead for 1 second there, guys.
Yes.
A comment regarding the Revolutionary Guard. One of the interesting things about the Revolutionary Guard is that I think that by the Iranian constitution, they are essentially the guys who guarantee the Islamic revolution. So let's say in the case that there's people inside the Iranian government that want to make a change of affairs, these guys will likely act. In fact, the Revolutionary Guard, it's almost like, let's say, it's a political party, then a military and religious organization. And these guys have been fueling instability in the Middle East. They finance and train several jihadist groups. Some of them who are here. The most important ones, of course, in Lebanon, Hezbollah, which Israel essentially eradicated its command leadership and its founder. Hamas in Gaza. There's also Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the resistance committees, and many other Palestinian groups, some of them with Marxist leanings. The Popular Mobilization Forces, units in Iraq, and another one, the Houthis, Ansar Allah, which are in Yemen right now. Um, I believe that at one time we will get into the Yemen conflict, but the Houthis are Shiites that this is interesting. They're not like Hamas because Hamas receives orders directly from the Iranians. The Houthis do not. They receive weapons and training, but they're not like order from Tehran. What's the
Mhm.
important thing to keep here? The Revolutionary Guard are the guys who are training and fueling a lot of the instability in the Middle East. And this attacks effectively what is like again, it's like people have called it. It's a decapitation attack against the capacity of Iran to wage proxy wars against, I will say, some of Israel's allies. Because one of the important things to keep here is that one of the major enemies of the Iranians are the Saudis. And the Saudis do not really get along with the Iranians because, well, the simple reason the Iranians are Shiites and the Saudis are Sunni. That's like the simplest reason of all. But the important thing here is Iran is losing ground fast. In Syria, they lost Assad, their major ally, and right now, who is in power? Al-Shara, and Al-Shara heads a group that is funded by the Turks. Who the Turks are not very friendly with the Iranians either. Hamas is mostly gone. Hezbollah is gone. The only ones are the Houthis, and I don't know how long they're going to last if they continue to attack ships in the Red Sea. So Iran is in a very precarious position.
And it's not free from internal struggles.
Exactly.
I mean, Iranian people, as even regardless of their government, are not that religious, or there's not much zealotry among them.
No.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Iranians seem to be, well, I said it to you this backstage before we started the show, that I always had this impression that when the Shah was ruling Iran, most of the Iranians seem to be, it's in the Western mindset at least. It was a Western country when you went to Tehran before, or like in the 70s.
Yes.
In fact, when you mention about that, it's interesting because recently Netanyahu sent a message to the Iranians where he said that the people of Israel and in Iran have been friends since Cyrus the Great, which is actually a very interesting comment because if I'm not mistaken, Cyrus the Great is one of the few non-Jewish
yes,
non-Jewish characters.
He is one of the few non-Jews declared the Messiah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as the QPP's kind of unofficial clerical authority, as the guy with the theology degree, or soon to have one. Cyrus is considered by the Jews as a Messiah because he was, divine. He was kind of inspired by God to release them, and all of that. So yeah, they do.
Help and finance the building of the Second Temple.
Excellent, Eduardo. You get a gold star. Good. I'm glad you. Or I'll give you a golden corona. Just so you don't riot. Everyone, these are jokes. These are jokes. Please don't be offended.
Also, recently, by the way, Tel Aviv actually woke up to missiles from the Iranians. I think I've heard that Iranian rockets have hit targets within Israel. I believe that this actually not necessarily opens up a new front, but actually continues how the state of affairs is in the Middle East. Because, like I said, Iran is losing ground. They know it. They're losing allies. They're losing their proxies are losing ground. And what's the thing that they always say, that a caged animal is more dangerous? I believe that that's the situation that Iran feels right now. And honestly, if I was in the top brass of the Iranian government, I would be feeling not only paranoid, but I would be saying, what do we do now? Where do we go from this? Because not only do they know how to hit us, they can hit us. So that's the thing. Now, will the Iranian people rise up, as some have suggested? I believe that we've seen that already, that the Iranians are fed up with the Islamic theocracy they have in power, especially with considering how the regime is. And honestly, I think that a guy like Khamenei doesn't have a lot of time left. And I don't think people will tolerate another Ayatollah for that
He's
long.
80, he's 85, and there's no clear successor.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, like he was a good friend of the original Ayatollah.
Yes. I mean, he was one of these Islamic clerics that condemned a lot of people to death, so he's also known as the Butcher of Tehran.
Yeah, so the way I see it, Iran has its days numbered. Well, the Islamic theocracy of Iran has its days numbered, and I believe that they know it. So, because I don't want to end this segment on a sad note, I want to say that before we go to sleep, I want to say that I'm really happy that we actually are back again at this, because talking about recent events, having a crack with some friends, cracking a few jokes there and there, it's amazing. And I think
it's so much fun.
Yeah, it is. It's very fun. And to our viewers, I'll say we were away for a long time because some of us were investing in our own projects, which is something that tends to happen. But I believe that given the state of affairs right now, we actually will have a lot of things to talk about. As I said, I think that we have already like a lot of subjects right now, like Chilean politics, immigration assimilation. I don't know if you, Eduardo, have like a suggestion.
Yeah, there will be topics coming from.
Oh yeah. Now we should probably tell people that we can't say we're going to be like every week, because we all have lives, or students, or we're busy professionals, but we're going to do our best to do the shows, and you can always follow us on our other project as well. I know Eduardo's involved in a few, and Pablo has a very you do some stuff on different things too as well, I've seen.
Yeah.
You're doing those little videos now where you're like voicing over stuff, and that's actually really cool. I wish I could do things like that. And I do In the Trenches. So I am trying to expand it. So if anyone's listening and they want to take part and talk about something, feel free to let me know. My handle's in the description.
Yes, and also under in the ticker, you can see all our handles of the podcast, and ours, and also from our friend Idomeneus, who actually lets us use his music for our show.
Yeah, so thank you very much to him.
Yes, and he's active again in Twitter. So
sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
all right.
If there's nothing else to add, well, I just
there's one thing I will say.
Yes.
I'm so happy to be again with you guys. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yo también, man.
Me too. Okay. We are Qué Pasó Podcast, and thank you for listening. We'll be back someday with some other topics.
Yes.
Right. Good night. Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.